Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. I've had a couple of reviews and stuff out on the channel, so hope you guys are enjoying those. Um, this is an interesting topic because we've addressed this before on the channel more recently when it came to the idea of virtue signaling and the idea of, bending the knee towards certain minorities or certain groups of people. Um, and companies have done that. Sometimes they're more blatant about it, sometimes they're more secretive about it. Um, and at least to my memory, this has to be the most blatant example lately of virtue signaling. And that comes from the Lilo and Stitch film, which they're doing a remake of Lilo and Stitch because Disney. I'm not sure if it's on. I'm not sure where they're going to be releasing it. I guess I presume Disney Plus because I don't know who the hell's going to go see a Lilo and Stitch movie. Um, but um, but they're doing a remake, a live action remake, and they casted some actor in the film. I forget what capacity. I never actually saw Lilo and Stitch, incidentally, um, but they casted a particular person in a particular role, and apparently that caused outrage on the social media platforms, particularly Twitter, because Twitter is a shithole. And lots of nasty comments, a lot of people saying this and that, people bringing up certain things about this particular person, uh, particularly in the fact that the person apparently had said the N word at one point during their career or their life or something. It's somehow, some way that information is known. It's the internet. I mean, you could find anything online. Um, and because of that, because of the chatter online, Disney obviously didn't want to make it known that that was the reason why they decided to actually recast this person. Instead, they decided to put a blanket over it and say that, well, it was brought to our attention that there were certain things, even though we ourselves conduct background checks and everything like that, it's business practice. Everyone does that, especially if you're going to cast someone in a capacity like this, you're going to do background checks. So, um, so it came to our attention that there were certain things about this person that we were not aware of, and now we're going to recast the role, not fire the person, even though that's probably what happened. We are going to recast the person, and then everyone went, "Yay!" And the reason why all this happened, it had nothing to do with the actual person because, I mean, the person was frankly nobody, but this was going to be their flagship, their movie that was going to get them, more recognition and more attention. New Kid on the Block sort of thing, and because of people online chattering about the fact that the person does not represent the character's ethnicity or race or all that sort of stuff, they decided to bitch and complain, and Disney bends the knee once again. Um, yeah, I'm really sick of people. Like we talked about stuff like this before with Idris Elba. Remember with Idris Elba when he came out and he talked about the fact that he didn't want to be labeled as a black actor. And I said back then that yeah, that's I understand why, because he just wants to be, he doesn't want that association. He wants to just be referred to as an actor. There's no need to be putting that kind of label on there. And he got eviscerated on Twitter just for making a, a very understandable comment. And he's had to like explain himself, which was like ridiculous and stuff like that. And here we are with something kind of to a similar effect where Disney is making a business decision and they're making a bet with this particular person. Yes, this person may not be the same, like race and all that sort of stuff, um, but they're making a choice based on the performer, not because of their ethnicity or their race, based on what I know. Um, like, they're making a choice because the talent proved to be the best and they casted that person because they believed that they were actually pretty good. Um, and here we are once again with Twitter saying that no, we don't want that. We want you to to cast people based on race, based on this and that. We want a diverse thing, even though we want to be very selective about who or what we put on screen. Um, yeah, like, and the reason why like this story is I bring it up is because it's people unfortunately like this person who are not going to get um, more recognition or more attention. They're not going to be able um, to feel validated and feel um, that their that their career is making any progression. Because now all that is associated with that person, the N word, this and that stuff that was in the past, way way in the past. And I presume that he has made amends to it. He's probably apologized for it somewhere. Um, and this has happened so many times, especially with Twitter. Twitter brings up stuff all the time. Cancel culture is like extreme on that platform. So many people. I think this started like way back with like Kevin Hart. Remember when Kevin Hart was was gonna host the Oscars, and then all of a sudden people brought up all this crap about Kevin Hart. It was, and Kevin Hart was like, I made an apology about this many times back then. I don't feel the need to apologize again. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. The man apologized back then. Either you accept that apology or you don't. And I'm glad that he stepped down from that because, well, he assessed the situation and all that sort of stuff. But he shouldn't have had to have been put in that position in the first place. Um, and to be just to clarify, that had nothing to do with his race or anything like that. I mean, he flagged up certain things in interviews, um, but but again, there's this trend of like people don't like certain things. They bitch about it online. Most times it has to do with nowadays with ethnicity and race, like this particular example. And it feels like sometimes now companies, or most times it seems, companies are just bending the knee towards that shit. And I'm just like, why? Why? If you think the person is talented enough, who cares what their skin color is? Unless the role, like, like if we're talking about Martin Luther King, something that is like quintessential, that is a part of that person, we have you then yeah, there should be you should be casting someone of a particular ethnicity or race because that that particular part has um there's just it's you can't just change that. There's just stuff that's so ingrained and so culturally significant attached to that particular person, that changing the skin color would be very counterproductive. It wouldn't be just a minor change, it would be a drastic change, and it wouldn't be that person at all. Um, so, um, so like if you're gonna do a Martin Luther King movie, you have to cast a black person because it's it's a cultural thing. It's like that how Denzel Washington said it. It's not just about color; it's about the culture, and that's where I would understand why certain people are cast in certain capacities because of the if the film calls for cultural significance and calls for cultural importance, if they're making that point, I understand why then certain people are casted in certain roles. If the role doesn't have that, if the role does not have those kind of attachments or those kind of things surrounding it, like this one, Lilo and Stitch, because let's be frank, who gives a shit about Lilo and Stitch? Who gives a shit about Lilo and Stitch? You guys are making a huge thing over Lilo and Stitch. I mean, no one really cares. Um, so it's not that significant, and it doesn't really matter. And it's also, I don't know who the character he was going to play. So it's like, so so it's it's like there's no things with that part. So anybody could play that part basically, but apparently not. Apparently we have to be politically correct. We have to do all these sort of things. And if you're white or if you're a certain kind of this or this and that, we don't want you in that role because we deem it so, even though it's not our choice to begin with. It's a company's decision, not ours. Like because that's also the big thing is that I really don't like how much power the internet has towards companies. Like, sometimes it's for the better, like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, for example, how it was going to be one thing and then it became something different. Sure, it sometimes can be a benefit, but it doesn't make it any less. Um, it doesn't make it better, just because we improved things. You know, like, I want films to come out the way the companies and the directors wanted it to be. I don't want us to have an influence on such things. That's inappropriate in my opinion. So, and you're also damaging people's careers. Like I said, this poor person is not going to be able to bounce back because of just the current climate we live in. That's all going to be hanging around him now. Like, oh, you said this. Oh, you said that. Or oh, Twitter said this. That's that person's future now. And um, I just feel bad for that person because you know I know it's hard to just get gigs like that. Um, so so unless there's a cultural significance, unless it's like, well, no shit, of course, this person has to be of a certain ethnicity. Like, if it's that vital, if it's that important, I understand why that person needs to be of that certain race or that certain ethnicity or have that particular background. I get it. But if the role really doesn't have that, if it's not really that important, I am okay with seeing changes, but it has to be um, like um, it has to be understanding. I don't want to see, like, because we talked about like the gender swapping and stuff like that. I'm not about that because again, that's just again virtue signaling. I want it to make sense. Are you doing this because it's for talent, or are you doing this to make some form of preferential treatment? Giving certain people more access than others. Like, what is the intent? And from what I've seen from the Lilo Stitch thing, it was because the person was just good, and they wanted to cast someone who was good, and the internet didn't want that. They wanted a particular person. So Disney, I believe, had the right idea, but the internet wanted something different. So Disney just said, okay, and I just feel like that's not how we should be doing it. Companies should stick to, you know, even if I disagree with a lot of their decisions, at least it's their own decisions and it's not us, like telling them, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. I'm just here to give my opinion. You do what you want to do. Even if I highly disagree with what you're gonna do what you want to do. You know, like ultimately, that's ultimately where I'm at. I don't wish to push my agenda on any other person. I'm just here to give my opinion. And in my opinion, unless there's a cultural significance, hey, I'm fine with changes, but it has to be for the right reasons, not for virtue signaling, preferential treatment, all these kind of things. It has to be because the person is good. And if that is the reason, then I'm all for it. Other than that, no, not really my thing. So so that's my thoughts on this. I just found that story interesting. I noticed that a lot of people were not talking about that because it clearly was virtue signaling and clearly, you know, like pushing a certain agenda and having this person removed for really, really ridiculous reasons. And I feel really bad for that performer. I really hope that um, I hope that his career does not suffer because of stupid things like this. Um, I mean, it wasn't right. Let me just be clear. I'm not condoning the action of saying the N word. That's stupid. Obviously, everyone knows that saying the N word is a really stupid thing to do. Using certain languages like that, not cool. But I presume the dude apologized. I presume the dude, did what he did. Um, like he's not just saying this shit online ad nauseum, and continuously to this day. He said it maybe one time, and you shouldn't have said it. I'm not saying you should have said it at all, but like, you know what I mean? It's all in the intent about why we're bringing this up. It's not because it's significant in other aspects. We're only bringing this up because we want to remove someone from that role because the fact that they're not matching the skin color or the ethnicity of the original character. That's the only reason why people brought this shit up about his past and stuff like that. And that to me is what triggers me. It's not that we're doing this because of other reasons that make logical sense. It's all because I don't like that person. I just want him removed because it doesn't match what I want for the part. It's stupid. It's really really stupid. So like I said, it all lies in the intent. It all lies in the intent for me. And if the intent was because the person was casted because they were good, I'm all for it. But if it was for any other reason, I'm not for that. I'm not about casting people because they're black, they're white, they're Asian, or whatever like that. Cast people because they're good. Cast people because they're good. And the caveat to all this is that if the role is culturally significant, like I said, Martin Luther King or Muhammad Ali or whatever like that, like if they are icons or if they are like cultural icons or if they have significance that is ingrained to a certain kind of culture or a certain ethnicity, it makes sense then why the role has to be casted within a specific type of group. I get that. But if it's outside of that, then like if there's no significance, like then it's just that to me it's fair game. Especially with something like this. No one cares about Lilo and Stitch. No one does. Very small group of people who like Lilo and Stitch. I have a person in my family who likes Lilo and Stitch, but other than that, outside of that, I don't know anybody who likes Lilo and Stitch. You know what I mean? So 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 that's my personal thoughts on all this. I think it's really silly and ridiculous, really. And hope that dude hope that dude bounces back. Hopefully he finds other work because I think he was done dirty, if you ask me. So, but that's my thoughts on this. You guys know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you guys think that this was virtue signaling? I really think it was. And if you guys think that there has been any other kinds of virtue signaling or any kinds of like preferential treatment, give me some examples in the comment section. I'm curious to hear if there's any other modern examples because this is like a very clear one to me. But and of course, if you guys disagree, let me know in the comments below. I'm all about hearing other perspectives. So, but be nice. It's just all an opinion. But but that's it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching. We'll have more reviews and stuff like that coming down the line. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video.